video for you with new stories from Ethiopia, Eritrea and Somalia. Firstly, Somalia, Puntland region, Puntland state of Somalia, where in clashes more than 10 security officials were killed today. The clashes were between government forces. What happened in Puntland today? Second news story is from Sudan, viewers. While Sudanese military withdrew from talks, asking civilians to form the new government, Sudanese military is forging alliance with Islamist forces in Sudan, which have been traditional allies of Sudanese military when Umar al-Bashir, former dictator, was in power, removed in 2019. Today, a Sudanese military court freed several Sudanese military officers who are seen as Islamists and who were put in prison in 2019 after they tried to stage a coup. Third news story is from the Oromia region of Ethiopia, southern part of Oromia. It was being said that Oromo Liberation Army had lost its stronghold in southern Oromia, because recently we have not seen lots of OLA's operations attacks in southern Oromia. Most of their activities have been seen in western and central parts of Oromia. But today OLA carried out an attack in southern part of Oromia. Fourthly, we have a new story about Teddy Afro, Ethiopian singer. Teddy Afro fans club today accused Ethiopian National Blood Bank that it stopped Teddy Afro fans club members from donating blood. Why? Because some higher authorities ordered Ethiopian blood bank that Teddy Afro fans club members should not be allowed to donate blood. Teddy Afro sang a song a few days ago seen as very critical of Ethiopian PM Abiy. Lastly, Eritrea is training not only ground forces, land forces, but also naval forces of Somalia. Today, another revelation was made when Somalia's president visited Somali Navy officers and Navy officials who are being trained by Eritrea. Firstly, we have a new story from Puntland region of Somalia, a state in Somalia. Sadia Samatar is Deputy Speaker of Somalia's lower house of parliament, and these days she is working as the president of Somalia. Why? Because President Hassan Sheikh is in Eritrea, and Speaker of lower house of the parliament is not in Somalia as well. That is why Deputy Speaker is now the acting president of Somalia. Today, Sadia boarded a plane carrying aid for drought-hit areas in Puntland. She is an MP from Puntland. Her plane was not allowed to land at Bosaso airport in Puntland, but after some discussions, her plane was allowed to land at Bosaso airport of Puntland. But immediately after the landing, clashes erupted at and near Bosaso Airport in Puntland. Clashes between Puntland security forces and Bosaso Airport security force. Clashes were so intense that at least 10 security officials have been killed in these clashes. According to Puntland government officials, Sadia Samatar arrived without any advance intimation to Puntland government. So that is why there was this unpleasant, unfortunate incident which led to confrontation between airport security force and regional forces. She was carrying drought aid from federal government for Puntland regional government. Now, my question, viewers, is that she is acting president of Somalia. So she was not allowed to distribute aid in Puntland, and her plane was diverted. After landing, the plane was turned away and she went back to Mogadishu without distributing aid. So that is what's happening in Somalia, that regions regard themselves as states, as countries. Even Somalia's acting president was not allowed to land. After landing, she was not allowed to distribute aid in Puntland. Clashes erupted, 10 killed, and she returned to Mogadishu. This relationship between regional governments and federal government in Somalia has been a matter of concern. Farmajo faced this problem too. Now, once again, we are seeing the same problem. There are divisions between federal and regional governments, in regions as well, between federal and regional forces too. And that is why armed groups like Al-Qaeda faction, like Al-Shabaab, they take advantage of these divisions and they are strengthening their control of territories in Somalia. So what is required is joint efforts by regional and federal governments and politicians and forces to wipe out armed groups. But these politicians are involved in internal fighting for their political gains, which is exploited. This situation is exploited by armed factions in Somalia. Second news story is from Sudan, viewers, where we know that Sudan military withdrew from talks a few days ago after we saw massive demonstrations in Sudan, which started in October. Sudanese people want an end to the role of Sudanese military in politics, and they want democracy, they want elections due to be held in 2023. But Sudanese military is still a key player in Sudanese politics, and Abdul Fattah Burhan, Sudanese army chief, a few days ago announced that Sudanese military would not be part of African Union, IGAD, UN-led talks with civilians, and civilian factions, political parties should talk among themselves to form government, and Sudanese military would respect the decision of the formation of government by civilian forces, political forces. But at the same time, Sudanese military is forging alliance with Islamist forces in Sudan. Today, a Sudanese military court of appeals freed several Sudanese military officers. These officers were put in prison in 2019, in July 2019. At the start of 2019, Omar al-Bashir, Sudanese long-time dictator, was removed from power after massive street demonstrations. After Omar al-Bashir's removal, a faction of Sudanese military tried to stage coup. Islamist faction, you can say, pro-Islamist faction in Sudan's military tried to stage a coup for the reinstatement of Umar al-Bashir. This faction was led by Hashim Abdul Muttalib, who was back then chief of staff of Sudanese military. The coup could not succeed. Hashim Abdul Muttalib was arrested. Other military officers were arrested too, and they were put in prison. But today, Sudanese military court, hearing an appeal, freed these Sudanese army officers. Hashim Abdul Muttalib has been pardoned by Abdul Fattah al-Burhan, it is being said. So it means that Sudanese military is once again forging ties with Islamist forces in Sudan. It could be an attempt to counter civilian government, though it has not been formed. FFC, other political parties are in talks to form the new government. So far, no announcement has been made that some consensus has been reached. Before that, we are seeing that Sudanese military in recent days have taken some measures which indicate that the military wants to re-establish ties with Islamist forces in Sudan. Thirdly, very important news story is from Oromia, viewers. Oromia region, where OLA armed group led by Jalmaro has been operating for decades, for years. Western and southern Oromia have been two strongholds of Oromo Liberation Army. Guji, Burana in southern Oromia and Valaga in western Oromia. And recently, currently rather, we are seeing OLA's presence in central Oromia too. Since the start of a new operation by government forces more than a month ago, we have been seeing that OLA's activities in southern Oromia have been, they have decreased, you can say. But in western Oromia, in Valaga, OLA has conducted several operations. Today, OLA showed its presence in southern Oromia too. Before the start of this operation, we saw OLA in control of a road which links Guji with Kenya. But after the operation, OLA fighters, they fled main towns and cities towards rural areas, towards forests. But today, Oromo Liberation Army fighters were seen. They carried out an attack in a town which is in southern Oromia on Bale-Guji border, close to Bale. It's part of Guji, I think. Name of the town is Gannale. There is a river by this name as well, Gannale, and it connects Bale and Guji zones of Oromia. Here, according to Oromo Liberation Army, fighting was between OLA and government forces, and some government soldiers have been killed. Their weapons have been seized by OLA. But pro-government news sources say that OLA carried out an attack on civilians in Gannale. So whatever the case is, but OLA's attack in Gannale has been confirmed by both OLA and government forces. So once again, a confirmation that OLA is still there in southern Oromia. All the claims that OLA had lost its territories under its control in southern Oromia were not true, it seems. In RC as well, a few days ago, we received reports about heavy fighting between Oromo Liberation Army and government forces. So now Gannale is the place where OLA's fighters carried out this attack today. Next news story is about Teddy Afro, Ethiopian singer who sang a song a few days ago which was being seen as criticism of Ethiopian federal government, Ethiopian PM Abiy. Today, Teddy Afro fans club members accused Ethiopian blood bank that this body, the blood bank, was not allowing Teddy Afro fans club members to donate blood. And Ethiopian blood bank said that they had received orders from higher Ethiopian government officials that Teddy Afro fans club members must not be allowed to donate blood. So then we saw a clarification by Ethiopian blood bank officials who say that no one has been stopped from donating blood, but Teddy Afro fans club members are adamant, and they say that they were stopped. They were not allowed to donate blood. It seems that Teddy Afro's song did not go well with Ethiopian PM Abiy, Ethiopian government. The song was critical of Ethiopian government. I did 2 videos on that song. Night, I think, is the name of that song, which has been watched by millions of people so far. Lastly, viewers, very important news story is from Eritrea. Eritrean government is not only training land forces of Somalia, but also naval forces. Another revelation we have been hearing for the past 1 year or so that Somalia's soldiers were receiving military training in Eritrea, and some claim that the soldiers were deployed to Tigray by Eritrean military to fight against Tigray Defense Force. But no one knew that Somalia's navy was also being trained by Eritrean navy. Today, Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, Somalia's president, who is in Eritrea, visited Massawa port and its environs. Isaias Afwerki, Eritrean ruler, accompanied Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud. They visited Massawa and they visited some facilities close to Massawa where Somalia's navy is being trained. Somalia's navy's speedboats were also seen. You can see some pictures on your screen. The pictures are from Massawa port. These are speedboats of Somali Navy. Somali Navy officials and officers are being trained by Eritrean Navy. Hassan Sheikh addressed Somali Navy officials as well when he visited Massawa port. So it means that previous former president of Somalia, Abdullahi Farmajo, struck a deal. He reached an agreement with Eritrea that both Somali land forces and naval forces should be trained by Eritrea. So he was in alliance with Eritrean government because he wanted Eritrea to train Somalia's national army. Though he was accused by opposition parties that he was working against Somalia's interests. Now we are seeing that Farmajo was working to build national army by training, by getting trained Somalia's ground and naval forces in Eritrea. Thank you for watching.